Hi everyone, Linda from Let's Talk Prepping. And I want to talk to you tonight about some interesting things that are going on in the world. We're going to have a couple of articles on food because as preppers, you should be stocking up as much food as you can because they're going after our food supply in various ways. So start prepping food. We're going to talk a little bit about the climate police. And then I thought we'd talk about how they're trying to control your mind and what's new in mind control. You're going to be blown away by all of this. So let's go over here and let's look at what's happening with food. And the first article on food is from naturalnews.com. The war on America's food supply rages on, led by the Biden regime and billionaire globalists seeking another new world order. And he goes through here and he talks about how they're using headlines to cover up what's really going on with the food. And we're not hearing about the war on food from the mainstream media. And he talks about the toxic food and the toxic medicine that we have, the genetically modified foods, the added sugars and seed oils, the prescription medications that have worse side effects than the conditions they're being treated for. And he goes on, but he also talks about the fertilizer trains derailing and how they're getting rid of fertilizer, the fires and explosions breaking out at food processing plants. And you really didn't hear about that on mainstream media. The trains with toxic chemicals crashing and how those deadly toxins are going to pollute the land forever. Chicken farmers being sold chicken feed that makes their hens sterile. Eggs being burned up to drive prices higher. Animals being slaughtered, and it's blamed on bird flu. And he goes on, so it's an interesting article here that you can look at and see exactly what he's talking about. But it is something that mainstream media is kind of ignoring, the war against farmers and fertilizer and food. And then if we go over here to the gatewaypundit.com, and this is February 22nd, there was a cyber attack on a produce giant Dole, and they shut down their production plants in North America. So the hack was reported as ransomware, and Dole said it contained the threat and engaged leading third-party cybersecurity experts to secure its system. So we have these cyber attacks that are really going on quite a bit now that they're not really mentioning either, but you can expect more cyber attacks on the grid, on everything. And then this one was interesting. Natural News again. Imprisoned. Climate police want EV, electric vehicle batteries, to have less capacity so electric car owners can't travel very far. So it's not enough for people to just switch from gas-powered cars to electric vehicles in order to fight global warming. The Climate Brigade also wants to forcibly limit the range of people's EVs to ensure they do not drive too much. So what is considered too much? If you have to drive an hour to work each way, is that too much? They're going to make you move closer to work. So they're pushing to have EV batteries less powerful in order to stop climate change. They want to make passenger cars smaller. And they want to make bus routes, metros, and electric bikes faster, safer, and more convenient. The goal of this climate community project is to achieve a 71% reduction. 71% reduction in personal vehicle ownership in the coming years. By trapping people at home, there will be less demand for energy, which will stop the polar ice caps from melting, we are told. Of course, you know, the raw materials to make all these electric vehicles are not going to be there. Lithium is one of them. And nobody even talks about lithium mining, how bad it is. And California said there is no possible way for it to charge everyone's EVs, electrical vehicles, especially once the Golden State's ban on gas-powered vehicles comes into effect in 2035. So you're going to buy this electric vehicle, they're going to limit your range, and then you won't even be able to charge it, so you won't be able to go anywhere. And they want to forcibly reduce the size of people's homes. So we want to force people to live in tiny green homes and drive EVs with subpar batteries. So that's their new plan, if you hadn't heard that one. And then if we go over here to the nationalpulse.com, climate rationing of meat and fuel is now on the agenda and in advanced planning stages. And this is February 23rd. Is World War II-style rationing the answer to the planet's climate crisis? And that's the question a new study by academics at the University of Leeds in England we're looking at. And they're thinking of rationing fuel and meat. They believe a rationing scheme would be more equitable than individual allowances, because rationing would not allow the rich to buy their way out. I'm not sure that'd be true. He says, although the study is just a piece of research at this stage, that could change very quickly, especially as we near 2030, a key date for the UN's Agenda 2030. So we know about the 15-minute cities. So how climate rationing could work. And they noted that during the war, compulsory food rationing was more popular than voluntary changes. And he says, rationing wouldn't be the first step. An information campaign to promote the benefits of rationing, along with stricter regulations, would be required to condition the public. So they're trying to condition us. And it seems like that campaign already appears to have begun. And the biggest polluters are international travel, the fossil fuel industries, as well as farming. So they're going to regulate those, and then that would bring in the idea that things would be scarce, and people would then say, yes, let's have rationing. And once again, it seems that choice won't be a factor in whether we change our lifestyles to suit the climate change narrative. So alternative mechanisms are needed to get people to stop eating meat. Social pressure, inflation, and direct government intervention, a meat tax are now the preferred methods of advocates of fake food rather than making their own products desirable or tasty or just not hideous. And they say now it's happened with eggs. Some stores have limited the purchase of eggs due to their scarcity. And no reason an artificial scarcity on a grand scale could not be created. And it says, although this is just a study, a proposal, it's likely to be a matter of when and not if. So we have this, they're coming after our food right and left. I would advise you as preppers to really start prepping your food. Just start making sure you have enough food to supplement your gardens, because a garden is what you're going to have in the long run. And one last article here. This is from LifeSite, lifesitenews.com. Pentagon advisor wants to create mind-control neural weapons. This should terrify us all. They want to attempt to shape the feelings, beliefs, and behaviors of entire populations, where those populations consider choices harmful. So they want us to have no choice in anything, do what they say. And if you go down here, and look at DARPA's goal of creating actual mind control. So what they want is media strategy, slogans, symbols, and memes as a means of building a network of government-friendly narratives to replace the stories people may otherwise tell about everything. But here comes the scary part. They would like to have transcranial electronic stimulation. And they want to do this right here, transcranial electronic stimulation by means of aerosolized nanoparticles. This means they are making clouds of tiny mind control machines for you to inhale without knowing. So think about that. It's probably still in the stages of thinking about this, but you know they're going to come up with it eventually. So if they can make these clouds of mind control machines and then just put them out wherever people gather inside. You could put them in churches. You could put them in football stadiums that are closed in. You could put them in concerts. You could put them in schools. Put them anywhere you want. And then you could control people's brains. It's just amazing what they're thinking of and thinking they're going to get away with it and do it. And people aren't going to be upset about it. And I hate to say it, but a lot of people aren't going to be upset about it. They're going to say, oh, well, that's the way it is. So they have remote control brain implants, drugs, and neural weapons, new drugs. So what they want to do is repurposing of medical brain imaging and implants to allow this guy to extract your thoughts and replace them with his. So think about that. If they could just extract your thoughts somehow, and you don't even know it's happening. So they're planning to do all of these things. So this is what's going on in the world today. A lot of exciting things, a lot of things that we should be fighting against. But right now, our survival probably is the most important thing. And I think our survival will depend upon whether we have enough food to get by and a way to protect that food also, a way to grow more food, and possibly getting together with neighbors and getting neighborhood gardens, doing something, and at least just thinking about all these things, and then getting off your butt and doing something. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments on any of this, let us know. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.